Welcome to Cut the Check Podcast with Craft Farmer, where we bring you the best guests and the most entertainment. I keep having this memory come into my head. I'm going to share this story with you guys today. Whenever something happens to me or something hasn't worked out or there's failure or just things don't work out in general, I always try to compartmentalize what I've done in that situation to create that problem. Whether you're getting robbed, there's a massive failure, poor design, all these things, whatever the case may be, I'm just giving you some examples. I always look at myself and try to think, what did I do to create this? What did I do to cause this problem? What did I do to cause this situation? What poor judgment did I make or poor decision? And it's just something I've always done, because if you can accept it and you accept responsibility in that situation, it's much easier to move forward than to point blame and ask why me and be left in this system of thought of trying to look for an excuse. If you can just accept responsibility, look at yourself on how that situation happened, you let that person in, you made the decision to do this, so on, it's much easier to get over. And that brings me to the story that I'm going to tell today of complete disaster. And what's ironic about the story is I think this story takes place about 4 years ago. And at that time, I remember thinking to myself that I would like to have a podcast one day. And I was thinking a good name for that podcast would be Tales from the Tarp. You know, sit there and talk to other like-minded cultivators and have them share stories and different wild situations that we've been in. And because of cannabis and the laws around it and the way it's governed, we have a lot of fucking crazy stories, a lot of wild shit that's happened, a lot of things that we've been through, more than a lot of the other fields out there. So I just thought it was just cool, you know, thinking about that manifestation of how I wanted to have this podcast 4 years ago and how I thought this would be a cool idea. Now here I am today. You know, I kind of lost sense of that feeling and then brought it back a year ago. But long story short, if you really put these things out there and you really focus on them, then you can make them happen. And today's real life story takes part, I believe, in this has to be March of 2017. So I had just finished with my grading on the top of my property, and I was getting ready to build 4 Connolly cold frames that I'd purchased from Greenhouse Megastore. The previous year, I had built my GrowTech fully automated greenhouse, and now this year I realized I wanted to get totally away from just full sun. The market wasn't that great, and there was a much better market for depths. And I just felt like I could do better with the depths. I'm an indoor cultivator coming to the outdoor space, and I thought that if I treated my depths like indoor and grew them the same way in the same style, I'd just have better luck. You know, the market really wasn't that good. That was the first year that we really felt the pressure. Definitely not as bad as it is right now. You know, we were selling outdoor then for I think $600-$700, and I mean I'm hearing some outrageous numbers now that are even lower. But I thought that could give me the edge. I didn't have the time to learn how to grow full term really well, so that was the direction I'm going. So we were building 4 cold frames, and I had some young guys there helping me right out of high school, right here from Sebastopol. Shout out to Miles, Garrett, and Zane. It was 3 of them. And, we were hunkered down on the top of the hill, getting everything set up and having just the real big push to get that season going. As you have a season, you have a limited window to really pull off, greenhouses, outdoor, and it's not, you can't just let it take however long it takes. It was March of 2017, and our year, the longer it takes us to build these houses, to build the beds, to fill them full of dirt, everything, the shorter our season is, and the less chance we have to make any money that year. And it was the first time that I'd ever, built these greenhouses. Like I said, I built the GrowTech one, but it was just on a whole nother level. These were going to be easier. And what I did was I cemented the 4 corners, and then the rest of the posts, I pounded it into the ground. So put a laser on everything, string line, set everything up nicely, made sure my 4 corners were all nice and square. And we're going to go ahead and put these videos up of the site and the different pictures so you guys can envision this as I'm telling the story. And I was feeling really proud in this moment. It was just me, 3 of these guys that lived on the ranch with me, and we were putting in work. And we were building everything ourselves. The first time I had done this, I didn't really have any direction. I didn't have anybody telling me kind of what to do. The greenhouses came with a set of plans. Like a lot of you, I'm on, IG, and I'm looking at photos of other people and the other greenhouses that they had set up, and really just thinking about how I was going to do this. And the one thing that I have when I'm building anything is I want to build it to the very best of my ability. Like anytime you're doing something, the shortcuts you took or what you let slide by. And at this point in my life, I was holding myself, at a high caliber. I didn't want to do anything half-assed. I didn't want to take any shortcuts. I wanted to build this just the very best it could be. And so every day, the boys are there. They're ready for their directions. What are we doing? Oh, we're putting on the baseboard. We're drilling the holes. So the frames were finished. We had put the arches up on the greenhouse. And we just started putting the plastic up. Now, in hindsight, I would never, if you're in a high wind area or high wind advisory area, just any area, it's just not worth it, even if you just get a crazy wind randomly coming up. But I was on the top of this mountain. I had basically cut a pad on the top of a hill over, with amazing panoramic views, 360 degrees of the valley and everything surrounding me. And every once in a while, we got these brutal winds coming up the sides of the mountain and hitting the top there. And without any thought process or without me even taking this into consideration, and it's something that's almost like a blessing and a curse in my life, is a lot of times I just go really hard with an idea, like really hard with a project, an idea. I just give it 100%, and I don't spend very much time thinking like, is this a good idea? Are you making the right decisions? Are you moving in the correct direction? Are you doing things in the order that they should be done? I just normally go balls to the wall. I jump in the car and I slap the fucking pedal down and I just take off hot rodding. And when you have that kind of mentality, things can happen that you're not expecting. And that's exactly what happened to me. And ironically enough, I've made so many great mistakes in my life where I've got a lot of these stories of just fucking up. And yeah, but it is the way it is. Like, it's got me to where I am today. I think a lot differently than I think then. I still kind of execute without a thought process sometimes, just, full steam ahead. But it's done better for me than it's done worse. So we're just going to keep it at that. Today's smoke is brought to you by Dank Mob. Shout out to Dank Mob. I don't know what he's got me smoking on today, but dude runs a candy shop. So we get 3 of the greenhouses covered. It's the first time that I've ever covered a greenhouse. So we laid our tarps out, and it's not too windy at this point. You know, that's one thing else I've learned is anytime you're covering a greenhouse or putting a new tarp up or anything, that day has got to be nice. This is not something that can be done when the wind is just terrorizing. I mean, it can be brutal. These are, remember when we were younger and we used to, in elementary school, we'd do that thing where we all were in a big circle and we had like this parachute and you'd throw it up in the air and then tuck it behind you and go under it and we'd all be under there. Like, that's like a greenhouse tarp. Like these are 100 feet by, 20, 30 feet wide on these cold frames. These cold frames had 3-foot sidewalls, so they weren't huge. They were a smaller greenhouse. They had no stamp plan, so they weren't engineered. So the first time I'm stretching a tarp, we got our first 2 houses done. I'm feeling pretty good about everything. It's nice and tight. The way that we're setting these greenhouses up, they had roll-up sides. So I had secured the roof along the upper board that tied all of the ground posts together. And then what I was going to do was support the roll-up sides from that same area, but it's 2 pieces of tarp. It's not one continuous tarp. We get the first 2 done, things are going okay, and then the wind picks up. I'm not thinking too much about it. I'm just like, we got to get this done. We got to keep pushing. And now you're kind of like hearing the wind. And the wind's moving around. It's slowly picking up a little bit more. And I'm like, okay, guys, come on. We got to get this done. We got to push ahead. Everybody's tired, exhausted. It's towards the end of the day. I've been working them like donkeys, like mules, pushing forward and just everything we're doing, building bed, stretching greenhouse, just like it's a mad dash for the season. Like we don't want the season to get behind us. It's already, like I said, March or April, and we still have a long ways to go. I still have to trench power, trench water, build end walls, install electrical work, wire fans, install light traps, doors, fans, shade cloth. Like it was just, looking back now, I'm just impressed with like my mindset back then and just the go-getter mentality and no surrender and just not thinking, just really pushing forward and realistically, like that's what it took back then. It wasn't like it is now where we were all planning and doing things. It was just a mad race to get things into this season because we didn't know how long these seasons were going to last. We didn't know how long this weird legalization that all of a sudden we had was going to work out for. And it's a year. It's a year you never get back. I remember thinking a lot, like back then, like I got to do so good on this run. I'm never going to get this run back. I'm never going to get this year back. And it was true. Look back at that period of time we had from 2015 to 2018 when everyone went fucking ham. Prop 264 passed in 2019, Ian? So before then it was a mad dash because we didn't know when it was going to expire, when we wouldn't be able to sell our flour anymore, when we weren't going to be able to build. We didn't have, caregiver style situations like you saw in Michigan. It was different out here. not as lenient. So we were really pushing to get everything done. We had a lot of work ahead of us. As it was right now, I'm shooting for like a July planting or something. Like I knew it was going to take this long for me to do all this stuff. You know, I didn't have the money to pay for electricians or contractors or bringing up a team to get this done. I didn't have that luxury. I was literally... It was amazing when I think back to it because I was like driving to fucking Santa Rosa to run my indoors. And it's not like I had like hundreds of lights. I had like 2 or 3 8-light grow rooms, you know. It's much harder. It was much harder up here in the North Bay just because there wasn't a lot of buildings. We're in wine country. Stuff's really expensive. You know, we couldn't just go hard like some of the stuff we hear about in like Oakland and LA, and we didn't have warehouses, you know. There wasn't a lot of warehouses available. Some people did, but the majority didn't. The majority of us were fucking garage trapping, you know. So we get to that third greenhouse and the fucking wind is starting to howl. And I've got like 3/4 of it wiggled wired in. And we have 4 of us at the end of the greenhouse trying to get the last fucking 10 feet wiggle wired in. And it was crazy. The wind's just, all of a sudden the wind picks up and it's pounding. And it's just dragging us. It's like dragging us and we're fighting the tarp to hold on. We're fighting to hold on. People are starting to yell, "My fingers hurt. I can't hold on." And I was like, boys, hold the fuck on. You let go of this fucking tarp, you let go of your job. I'm trying to do everything I can to keep everybody's fucking head in the game. Listen, you know when you're playing tug of war between 2 groups of like 20 people and you're pulling so hard and there's grunting coming from both sides of the line and the rope's going left and right. Your hands burn. We pull these ship rope, you know, when we were younger. And there's always those fucking people on the team who just like are acting like it, but they're not really pulling. You know, they're like, I'm just telling everybody to hold on, dude. Do not let go. Grip this fucking tarp as hard as you can. Dude, and that thing's picking us up off the ground. Lifting us, putting us down, lifting us, putting us down, slapping. It's starting to rain at this point. We're wet. Wind's blowing. We're wrestling this thing for, it felt like 30 or 45 minutes fighting this tarp, and I'm just holding on, and I'm just thinking to myself, like, if I let go, I'm going to lose it. We're going to fucking lose this thing. The fucking tarp breaks us. One lets go. The next one fucking lets go. I had to let go. I let go, and that fucking tarp, bless his soul, Miles was the one that did not let go. And that fucking tarp picked him 10 feet up in the air and then just fucking slammed him right down on the ground. Boom! Third turnbuckle, top rope shit, power bombed him. Ugh. Folded his legs back over his head. Fucking knuckles are bleeding from holding on. Our hands are frozen. I'm like, dude, we got to go after this thing. Like, we got to do it again. Let's go. Everybody in fucking line, get the tarp. Hold the tarp by any means necessary. Never fucking drop the flag. The flag always flies. Adrenaline dump, hearts pounding. Been getting our fucking ass kicked by this tarp for a solid 25 minutes. Where I'm thinking to myself, like, are we ever going to be able to get this last 3 sections of wiggle wire in? I don't see this happening. And I mean, it's just, this thing is whipping. Like, think about a tarp, you know, in the back of your truck, and you got a huge brush load, and you got this fucking tarp back there, and you're doing 55 down the freeway, and like 3/4 of the tarp's tied up. Like, dude, that thing is whipping and beating and pushing and slapping. I get us in a single file line. I'm like, look, we're going to grab the tarp and we're going to slowly work our way down. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to slide down. Garrett, you're going to grab it. You're going to slide down. Zane, you're going to grab it. You slide down. And together we're going to start sliding down. We're going to continue to shift and hold that motherfucker till we get to the end and we can get this wire in. And I just wanted to be done. I just wanted to set it. And I'm being that fucking dude in left field. Like, let's go, guys. Come on, we can do this. The championship is fucking 1 out away. Felt like a fucking pirate in the middle of the ocean fighting this fucking sea creature. This greenhouse, this long worm, this sea creature that's just swinging its fucking tail and striking, hissing, surrounding my boat, swimming around me. At this time, I'm just fucking surrendered to the grow gods, praying to the grow gods to help me put the last bit of this fucking tarp in, to just fasten it, to just slay this fucking dragon. And by the fucking grace of the grow gods, the wind stops. Just dies and it starts pouring. We move fast like fucking ninjas. Wiggle wire snapping into place, sliding down, and we locked it in. And I just took the deepest breath and just of awe and thankfulness and feeling so fucking good, like, you did it. Yeah, we're all fucking high-fiving and cheering and jumping up and down and waving our hands in the air. And I feel so relieved and my heart's just pounding. Feels like it's fucking coming through my chest. I can hear it like radiating in my ears. Like each ear has like its own heartbeat that's going sideways, front to back, sideways. Like my whole fucking body, there's just so much blood just fucking pumping through my veins. And something you hear me mention a lot is reflection. I've always just really reflected on like what I've done that day or what I accomplished, you know, in these really large projects and cultivation. If you don't look at what you've accomplished every day, and even if it's not as much as you thought, but you have to look at these small victories. You have to celebrate these very small victories, or you won't celebrate anything. Like everything happens so fast and you keep moving, like you have to just reflect. Wait till everyone leaves work and just like look around what you do. Look at something you've built, something you've worked on, art you've created. Like take that time for that reflection. The reflection is so important. And the boys went down to the house and I reflected. It's exactly what I'm doing in this video that we're about to put on the screen. I started walking around that garden and looking at it, and the rain's coming down, and hearing the rain for the first time on the tarps, and how amazing the sound was. Growing up, we had a metal, like those roofing pieces that are just metal and ribbed. We just had a metal roof right above us, like 3 feet from our head in our tiny little cabin. And the rain on that roof is so poetic. It's such a different sound, and it's so calming and soothing, and reminds me of my childhood and And as the rain's coming down, it's being caught on 3 greenhouses, 30 by 100, or 20 feet by 100. So like, it's just it's like a chanting, it's like beating drums. And I'm just walking this perimeter and thinking to myself how, like, fuck, look what you pulled off. You got this thing graded, leveled. You left these manzanita trees in this little picnic area. You didn't just bastardize the whole top of the hill and fucking mow everything down. And you're building these greenhouses that you have no experience in. You don't even know how to fucking grow in them. You know nothing but like you're so motivated and so fucking hungry. You don't care what it takes. Like, you're going to figure it out. You're going to figure out how to build it. You're going to figure out how to grow in it. You're going to figure out how to make the fucking money to pay for the whole thing. You're just going to figure it out. You have enough belief in yourself that you'll find a way. And so I'm walking around this garden and just thinking of all that. Thinking how far I've come. Thinking about how I lost my entire last year's crop to a fucking thief. Fucking spineless coward. Thieves are fucking cowards. Thinking about how I lost the entire last season. Fucking barely making it month to month, you know, like... But I got to build these fucking greenhouses, and just thinking about everything I've been through and the fucking raids and the arrests and the money laundering charges and all of it. And here I am with my greenhouses standing and the covers locked on, and just like taking this moment of pause to just feel accomplished. And it was just so beautiful to me, like greenhouses and grows that people take a lot of attention to detail, like every part of it, really impresses me, and I think it's artwork. You know, I love greenhouses and love seeing people put their end walls together, and there's just so much uniqueness that you can do when building them. And so I'm just taking all of this in as I'm walking around and just feeling so fucking good inside. And I go down the hill, and I had an old friend of mine named Dave. He was probably in his 70s. And he came and visited me that afternoon, that evening. And he hadn't seen them. You know, he got in late. So we're in the house, and I got a fire going, and I'm just feeling so good and feeling so accomplished and so happy and so amazing. You know, I'm talking to him, and he's telling me, man, I just can't wait to go up there in the morning and see this. I can't wait to see how badass these are and how amazing the site looks. And there was a big storm that night. Big fucking storm. I thought it was over. I'd slayed the dragon. I got the fucking cover on in a time where, like, I didn't think it would happen. Wake up in the morning. Storm came through last night. I get up. Man, I want to go see what it looks like in daylight. It's still overcast, foggy out. So I get up and I go into the main living room area of my house, and there's a note on the island. And I pick up the note. Dave's gone. And he said, good morning, something along these lines, like, don't quote me. But good morning, my friend. I went up to the top of the hill to check out the improvements. I'm sorry I couldn't be here for you when you see the result. I had to leave. And like my fucking, you know, like my heart fell into my fucking stomach. And I just had like this, get goosebumps thinking about it. I just had this feeling like, what is he talking about? Man, I go up to the top of that hill with my rain jacket on, and as I crest the top of the hill, I'm walking, and I get to the top, and it's just a fucking disaster. It looks as if a fucking monster came through and like smashed my greenhouses, like stepped on them like fucking tin cans and just destroyed them. Like a fucking bomb. Just got dropped on the top of my fucking property. I didn't even understand what was going on. How could this fucking happen? This makes no sense. One house had ripped off its poles and smashed into the second house, completely flattening it, and those two blowing into the third, which just pushed the whole thing over. So it was like halfway still fucking kind of put together, but just flat. I am fucked. I'm so fucked. Not only can I can't fucking afford to buy these greenhouses all over again. You can't buy these frames again. The fuck, how did this even happen? Why did this happen? That was a mess. Oh my God. I'm like, shaking and fucking crying. Like I feel like I remember these like fucking tears of pain. Like this whole thing has to be like scrapped and taken down and like re-fucking done from the very beginning. I'm just fucked, dude. After everything I've been through, the previous year, I lost that whole year. I was exhausted, like I'm just like, this almost felt like the straw that broke the camel's back. I'm just fucking devastated. Feeling so fucking sorry for myself and why me and fuck, I'm just not meant to succeed at this point. Like raid, charges, fucking partner wiping you out, like all these things have stacked up like over this course of these like 4 years, and it just seemed like I couldn't win. I couldn't fucking win. I was like treading water trying to get through this year, and man, I just went down to my house, and I remember calling my dad. And I called my dad and I told him that this fucking storm came through and destroyed the fucking greenhouses and I'm fucked. My year's over. This is it, Dad. I'm fucking done. I'm throwing in the fucking towel. This was it. This was the end. And he told me, he's like, Lance, you've had shit that were much fucking worse, much harder than this, that you've already gone through, that you've already been through. It is never fucking like you to throw in the towel. You've never thrown in the towel on anything you've ever fucking did. Go into your fucking tool shed, get your fucking grinder, your cut-off wheels, get your fucking Sawzall, and go cut all that shit up. Pull it all out of the fucking ground, do it as fast as you can, re-fucking build. You fucking rebuild by any means necessary. Pull myself kind of together, stop feeling so fucking sorry for myself. The natural like thing you want to do. And I went into the fucking tool shed and I got the 3 Sawzalls, extension cords, fucking grinders. Whistled for the boys. I was like, look, we need to cut all this shit apart, cut it all into fucking pieces, throw it in the back of the trailer, make stacks of all this fucking metal and all this garbage. We're dump running all of it and we're rebuilding. Pull every fucking post out of the ground. I called up Ben at Greenhouse Megastore. I was like, Ben, this fucking storm came through and ruined my life, destroyed all these greenhouses. Fucked all this shit up. Like I need to buy some parts. I need to try to figure out how I can put this back together. And Ben's like, Lance, we've got you on all this. We're going to give you all the fucking destroyed parts, all the nuts, the bolts, any bent ground post, any arch connectors, anything. Fucking Ben and Greenhouse Megastore come through and give me everything that got destroyed, everything that needed to be replaced. Went fucking back to, went to SAC, went to Greenhouse Megastore, and we started from the beginning. Now, the reason I wasn't cementing the fucking posts down in the beginning is because the county said we couldn't. The county would not allow a permit given to anything that did not have engineered plans. Thus, this is just a cold frame greenhouse, cold frame, just rolled metal, no supports for snow load or anything else. It's not designed for that. Didn't have a set of engineered stamp plans. It was just a simple cold frame greenhouse. So for those things, you could not get a permit. They didn't want it permanent. You couldn't use cement. So that's why the last time I pounded in those ground stakes, cemented the corners. This time I'm like, fuck it. I'm cementing the whole motherfucker in. I don't care. I'll put a layer of dirt over the top so that when they inspect it and they sign off on it and all their bullshit, I don't have to deal with anything. The county, and they're always fucked up rules and bad language. I rebuilt. We rebuilt all the fucking greenhouses, reframed the end walls, went hard. I think we got planted in July and crushed it. That was a great year. And I didn't have to deal with any bullshit. I didn't have a partner. You work as hard as you fucking can. You don't got to worry about nothing else. Everything is your fault. Any mistake made, you own up to. And we fucking pulled it off. And back then I was Red Tail Farms. And those are the drone videos I have. If you look back in the feed of Craft Farmer, the drone videos. And the painted end walls. I had the Watermelon Miner painted on one. I had the Knockout Grape painted on another. The Gelato 41 painted on another. It was just it was a cool fucking time. Taught me a lot. And that was just one of the many crazy fucking stories I've had on the hill and throughout my cultivation life. Burned into the memory books. Operate in 2017. First year doing it. I know everything I need to change going into 2018. Everything that we need to win and everything to do differently. And then the fucking county bans it. They come out and they ban commercial cannabis after they had just taken all of our fucking tax dollars. And a lot of people like me registered for the largest size you could. So back then, Calaveras, you could register up to 22,000 square feet. So fuck it, dude. Sign up for the most. 22K, rock it. Well, fucking even if you don't rock it, oh yeah, if you look, I only used 9,000. They don't give a fuck. You had to pay the tax on the whole 22,000, even if you didn't use that, because that's what you registered for. So we all pay our tax, and 3 months after we pay our tax, it goes to a vote at the Board of Supervisors, and they vote 3-2 to fucking ban it. Keep our tax money, ban it, no commercial cultivation in Calaveras. Fuck. God damn, dude. How do you get a W, a fucking win? I mean, in hindsight, the whole experience was a win. Such amazing times up there, and so lucky that I was able to do that. And how I even got that fucking place is a crazy story. But right when I got the greenhouses built and I learned everything I did from that first year and all that heartache and headache, and they've been paid for, and the investment's been made, and we're ready. just pulled right out from underneath you. Dude, at this time, it's like 4 years of L's, and it's like, but not all L's. Like, obviously, you know, we're making enough to continue to do it. But it's like if just one of these things went right, we'd get like a big win. And the county bans it, and we cannot grow past June of 2018. So I get one more pull off it. I think I pull it off, crushed it. Turned out amazing. It was so cool. It was that site was so badass. This video of me closing the depths, turning the fans on. These were poor boy greenhouses. These things were badass. They were 20 by 85 Connolly cold frames with the Craft Farmer Blackout Kit. And I say the Craft Farmer Blackout Kit because I made my own kit that Greenhouse Megastore now dubbed the Craft Farmer Blackout Kit. And so what I did was I built the Connolly cold frame. I then bought enough purlins to run the center span and the 2 outside edges. I connected the blackout tarp to the purlin wiggle wire in the very middle of it, very middle of the tarp. I hoisted the tarp up and bolted that perfectly straight purlin, which is in the dead center of the tarp. I bolted it through every arch. Then I rolled up the sides to the middle and would unroll it. And it gave me a very, very uniform roll up, very straight, very tight. I have one of the best, tightest blackout roll up on the gram. Dude, it was beautiful. It was an amazing experience. You know, it was just me and Bart up there on the hill grinding it out with the guys. It was like, dude, we were like a fucking little pirate clan, you know, like just forging ahead, living the greatest life. Come home to the Bay Area 3 days a week, hustling here, making sure that the indoor is still popping and everything's doing what it's supposed to do and working, and driving back. Those greenhouses and that setup was fire. Epic. And then the ban hit. I wasn't worried about it. It is what it is, you know? We're just keep working. Keep playing the deck of cards that we're given. Boom, time to move to the next thing. What was the next thing? You know, back to the bay. Back to hustling the indoor. What's going to be next? What happens next is another story. But always keep pushing. Always keep grinding. Even like when you're fucking ground down, you keep grinding, keep working, keep hustling, keep pushing forward. Never surrender. Fly the fucking flag by any means necessary. There's always going to be something for us. There's always going to be something we create. Some other situation. Who knows what it is right now, but we're going to keep moving fucking forward.